Hi guys, welcome back to Pointblanc Dev. In this tutorial, we are going to use Pascal programming to solve a real-life physics question. Day before yesterday, I received a text from someone on WhatsApp that I should help him solve this question on Pascal. The person was asking how he could use Pascal programming in solving this physics question. Now, this is the question. Ohm's law states that the voltage V in a circuit is equal to the current flowing in ampere R multiplied by the resistance R in the circuit. Write a program to enter the values of resistance and current and display a voltage V. Wow, what a question. So there is a key thing that I want you to take note of while solving this question or while attempting it. We are dealing with voltage, current, and resistance. Now, if you recall or if you go back to your physics, you know that the voltage in the circuit is equal to what? The current times the resistance in the circuit. Do not forget this formula. This formula is so powerful in solving this question, so do not forget it. So, we know that voltage is equal to the current times the resistance in the circuit. So without wasting much time, let's see how we can implement that. I'm going to highlight everything by simply hitting Ctrl A, then I want to delete. I'm going to say program, my caps lock is on. I'm going to say program, and then I'm going to call it voltage calc. I want to call it voltage calc. I'm going to now, I want to bring to your notice something. We know from physics that V is equal to IR. So by convention, we are going to be making use of three variables or three storage memories. One, we are going to be using voltage, which is one of the variables. The other is going to be current, and the other is going to be resistance. We are going to be using three variables. So we are going to create three variables that will hold one, the current, the other is going to hold the resistance, and the other is going to hold the voltage. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to create our variables by using the keyword var. My caps lock is on. Var voltage, current, resistance, and all of them are going to be integers. I said integers, but do not add an S here. Integer, not integers. So I'm going to begin my program here, and then now I want you to think of two things. How do you want to get the values for the current and resistance? There are basically two methods we can use here in getting the values for the current and resistance. One, we are simply going to assign the values of the current and the resistance in the program by simply saying current equal to this, resistance equal to this. The other method is by allowing the users to enter by themselves the value of the current and resistance on their keyboard. So let me start with the first method. We can simply say current is going to be equal to, let's say, 20, and then let's say the resistance in the circuit, the resistance, oh my god, my keyboard is bad. The resistance is going to be 12. So this is where the formula V equal to IR comes in. So voltage now is going to be equal to what? Why am I saying current? Okay, current times the resistance in the circuit. So what we have done here is that we know from here that current is 20 and resistance is 20. We simply just did 20 times 12, and the result of the product of 20 times 12 will be stored in voltage, so that anytime we want to reference this 20 times 12, we are just simply going to say voltage. So now let me write to my console screen, right line, and then whatever I want to output on the console screen in the pair of single quotes, and I'm going to say the voltage. The voltage is, now I'm going outside the single quotes, and I'll put comma, and then I'll say voltage. When I save, come down, and then I'm going to end my program with a full stop. If I run my program, oops, I forgot to put equal to here. Equal to. If I save, if I run my program, now success. Now you can see execution stopped. The reason for that is because we forgot to add the keyword in the base end here, read line. Now read line is a command you use to get input from the user, but since we are not actually specifying that or using a function to call that, it's simply going to force the console screen to stay. So when I just, you see, it stays, it's not going to move anywhere again. You can see this, but when you look at the console screen, you can see something here. The voltage is 240, but this is not looking quite interesting, because when a user looks at this, is going to wonder how came about this 240 here. So we just want to explain our code in details how it came about this 240. For instance, this is how the user is going to view it. Looking at this, I'm just going to, how came about voltage is 240? Nobody knows. So now we're simply going to tell the users what happened behind the scenes. Now we are going to write line. We are going to tell the users that the current supply to the circuit, was 20, and then I'm simply going to write an empty line to the console screen. Now this right line that is empty here is simply just going to create a space, a white space like this on the console screen. I just need to space it, and then I'm going to write line again. I want to write to the console screen once again and say the resistance is 12. Now when I run my program, you see what we're going to have. The current is 20, the resistance is 12. Now someone looking at this will understand that, hey, maybe this guy just did current times resistance, he just did 20 times 12 to get this 240. Now this is self-explanatory. This is current, resistance, voltage 240. Now this is one of the ways in which you can use to get the values for the current and resistance, and then output your voltage on the console screen, just as we have done here. So now let's look at the second method of doing that. The second method is by simply allowing the users to enter values of the current and resistance by themselves. So let's get rid of this. But I hope you understand the first method we did. You are not going to forget. So now we are simply going to ask the user, please enter the first, or enter your voltage. What am I saying? We're just going to tell the user, please enter the current. Okay, we're just going to write line. And we're going to say let's say asking how much current are you supplying to the circuit? Are you supplying to the circuit? How much current are you supplying to the circuit? Now we are going to read the current that the user is going to supply to the circuit. What are we going to read? We are going to read current. Now I'm going to write line. To simply give a white space on the console, empty one, let's specify. Now I'm going to ask the user, write line. How much resistance do you feel the circuit encounters? Question mark. We're asking them questions. How much resistance do you feel the circuit encounters? With the current you've provided. Okay, the current you entered. How much resistance do you feel the circuit encounters with the current you not encounters, offers? How much resistance do you feel the circuit offers to the current you entered? Now we are going to allow them to enter the amount they feel the circuit encounters, or the circuit, say how much. Let's allow them enter the resistance they feel resistance. So now what we are going to do, since the user has provided, let me space this for a clearer view. Since the user has provided the current and the resistance, now what we are going to do, let us say, let us calculate the voltage. The voltage now is going to be what? Current times resistance. Let's simply write to the console screen the value of the calculation. Let's say the voltage of the circuit is, now we are going to say voltage. Let's run our program and see. How much current are you supplying to the circuit? Let's say 23 amperes. How much resistance do you feel the circuit offers to the current you entered? I feel 12. If I hit enter, the voltage of the circuit is 279. If I hit enter, it exits. This is so interesting. I feel like running this program again. Let me run and see. How much current are you supplying to the circuit? I want to supply 90 amperes to the circuit. If I hit enter, it will take me to the next question. How much resistance do you feel the circuit offers to the current you entered? The circuit is going to offer the same amount, which is verbally impossible. Now the voltage of the circuit is 8100 or 8100. Now these are the two basic ways. You can use so many ways to achieve this, but these are the two simple ways I want us to learn how to do this simple calculation. There is no big deal about doing this. So this is how to solve that simple question in the various two ways. We have just did that in the first method, which is simply assign values to our current and resistance, and in this second method, which we allow the users to enter the value for the current and resistance, and we just multiplied what they entered together and stored in the voltage here, and then we simply just wrote to the console screen the value of the result of the product of this here. So guys, this is how to do simple manipulations, let me call that, dealing with real life questions. What I always want you to focus on is getting the parameters involved, which is the variables which are going to be involved in your solution, and then choosing the right method. It's always important. So guys, this is it for this tutorial, and I hope you've learned one or two things you can use to implement and start writing your programs. So as usual, like this video if you feel interested in watching more, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that whenever I get new content released, you'll always be the first person to get notified. And then share this video. You don't know how much this video can be of help to someone, your friend, your family member, your schoolmates. Just share the videos. This is it for this tutorial, and then I'll see you in the next class.